Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time we're taking a look at the 1990 Honda NSX. Our first NSX to take on the course and, well, one of the very first NSXs to exist. And I will admit I am a bit worried about this one. We've seen the performance of mid-engined rear drive road cars on this series have been pretty lackluster. And this is sort of the daddy of the mid-engine rear drive car in this game. And this one isn't helped because it is NA tuned and it has a 4-speed auto. Yeah, I'm not expecting much out of this. Mid-engined rear-wheel drive, 420 horsepower, 1,201 kilos. It does look very pretty. I think that's probably going to be its best defense soon. It is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track, so the best way it possibly can. Our current leader is the Mines Lancer Evolution 5 with a 28.209. The NSX is unlikely to beat that because... oh god, this is the worst sort of 4-speed auto. So I've mentioned before on this series, I don't actually mind having longer gears too much. Usually when I'm talking about cars with lots of torque or turbochargers, for which this is lacking both of them. The problem I'm noticing here is first gear is just long enough to be useful, and that means I can't just second gear this everywhere. And that means I've really got my work cut out for me in trying to make this one quick, because as we know, first gear in this game is a death trap. As you can see, it really does make it spin its wheels, and you've got to remember to constantly be changing the gears. Okay, that's not great. First flying lap though, 32.158. That's actually better than I expected, to be fair. I'm not expecting this, to be honest with you, that MR2, 32.174. I'm not expecting this to be much quicker than that. Now, fortunately, much like with the MR2, there are quicker NSXs to come, and there's a lot of these things in this game as well. There's also the Acura versions of them, so even if the Honda ones don't do well, the Acura ones, which are basically the same cars with a different badge, they could also come along and do quite well. One thing to note with the GT2 Plus mod, apparently it fixes the tyre sizes on this. They were originally from the 97, so there you go. Another thing it also corrects, although I'll mention this again when that car comes round, the 1990 Acura NSX in the base game does not have the 4-speed auto. For whatever reason, it's only the Honda version, whereas the GT2 Plus mod corrects that, so both of them can share the pain of this 4-speed auto. As I mentioned, do not worry too much if this one doesn't do well. There are lots of NSXs to come. Although, as I've mentioned before, do not expect any of these mid-engined road cars to do particularly well. Unless they're European, apparently. We've seen the Esprit do well, but this is not European. Technically, it was designed to take on the Europeans, and it did that very well in real life. Although not usually with the 4-speed automatic. Although when you think about it, yeah, I suppose that was one of the big selling points of the NSX, because there wasn't a lot of automatic, like this is before Ferrari came up with the F1 gearbox and all the problems that brought, and Lamborghini, I mean, obviously they were all manuals as well, so maybe the NSX, we hear the NSX a lot in the supercar world, but inventing the 4-speed auto probably isn't something we would like to remember. I will say that went a hell of a lot better than I was expecting it to. That really did. I honestly thought we were going to be looking at like a 32 there, but that's surprised me a lot. 31.030. That's actually going to put it into 42nd place. It is marginally quicker than a CLK 200 Sport. Is not that far off the Toyota Supra RZ, which leads me to believe if this had a proper gearbox, this would probably be very quick. It's also slower than an Opel Astra, but I ignore that part. Yeah, I'm surprised on that. I am. It's also slower than a Civic, which Honda probably wouldn't like mentioning, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, that's actually better than I expected, so maybe these things won't be too bad after all. Who knows? Anyways, that's it for this edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. Do hope you enjoyed, and join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.